Hi, Andrew here from Nomads Unplugged. WikiCamps have just released an update to their product. They said that it contains two major improvements. One is collections and the other one is better tracking of your current trip through the use of colours, etc. in the screen. So today I'm going to have a look at both of those and just see where they are with the other bugs that we've found in the past. So join me as we look at this update of WikiCamps 2025. Alright, let's take a look at this March 2025 upgrade to WikiCamps. So they've said that they have updated their collections, and the collections were there previously, but now you can see them on the screen. So there's actually a digital display of collections. They've also done some updates to the trip planner, and that's around visual tracking of progress of your trips. And while we're here, I just want to check on a few bugs and see if they've made some improvements in some of the other areas in WikiCamps itself. So I'm going to start here in the southwest corner of WA, and you may notice that I've already marked on here a few collection sites. So you'll see some very, very small icons. There's a notebook on that caravan park site, there's a notebook on this camping site, etc. There's a star on this caravan site. So I started to add some details around collections, but we'll go into that in a little bit more detail. So what are collections? Well, let's go into the filter. So the three horizontal bars on the top right, click on there, and you'll see here you've got your collections, which can be liked, visited, want to visit, starred, or disliked sites. So you can mark any site in WikiCamps with one of those five, and it is one and one only. For example, if I was going to this caravan park down here, West Bay Retreat Caravan Park, I can do one of two things. I can click on this little heart icon with the plus, or I can just go into the site itself and add it to a collection. So this first time I'll click on the heart, and you'll see it gives me those five options I just mentioned: liked, disliked, visited, want to visit, or starred. Because this is a caravan park, I would like to say it's a want to visit. My own rules are, if it's an overnight spot and I want to go there, I'll have it as a want to visit. If it's a site of interest, etc., I might just have it as a starred site. Liked will tend to be sites that I've been to and really liked and would like to go to again, and visited are sites that I've been to, whether I want to go to again or not. And dislike is something that I've not had a good experience with, and I'll take you through dislikes in a second as well. So I just save that, and you'll see there's a little notepad icon next to that caravan park. So the other way to do it is to actually click into a site itself. So watching other YouTube channels, I know that one of the sites that I want to visit in the Margaret River region is the Giant's Cave. So I'm just going to look for the Giant's Cave. And there it is. So there's the Giant's Cave. So the other way to add it to a collection, I could click on the heart as I did before, is just to go into the site. And you'll see at the top right of the screen, you've also got that same heart icon with a plus. So I will make that a starred site because it's not an overnight stop. So I will just star it and save it. And it's that easy. Now I'm going to go through a process of finding a number of sites, basically between Dunsborough, which is in the north of this map here, and Denmark, which is just off the screen down to the bottom. And I've started to do that. You'll see some stars in there, etc., but I'll continue that process and then we'll look at the results. Okay, so I've finished indicating my site. So now how do you use that? How do we get the best results from using collections? Well, if I go into the filter, and remember I'm doing this on starred and want to visit, so this is planning a trip. So if I click on those two and show results and zoom out, so using my fingers to zoom out, you'll see I've got all of these results between just south of Dunsborough and Denmark over here in the east, in the southeast. So now what I can do is go into each of these and add them to a trip. So firstly I'll create a trip. So I click on plan, then down the bottom right, click on create a trip, give the trip a name. I'll call this Margaret River trip, then scroll down, create trip, and there we have it. So now I need to add all my starred and want to visit sites to the trip. So I'll start near Dunsborough at the top and head towards Denmark. So firstly I'll click on the first site, Tasman Holiday Parks. I then click on the little motor icon and you'll see add trip, Margaret River trip. So yep, that's the right one for me, so I'll continue. And what I want to do is insert this one at the start of the trip because it is my first site. I'll then go on to my second site, which is the aquarium. So again, click on the little motor icon. Margaret River trip is correct. Continue. And this time I'll do a smart insert. So I won't do it after the progress bar. I'll do a smart insert. And done. I'll then continue that for all the subsequent sites that I've got listed under my starred or want to visit sites until I've got to my final site in Denmark. So again, Margaret River trip, smart insert, done. I'll do that repeatedly. Alright, I'm up to my last site to add to this trip. It's the Riverbend Caravan Park just north of Denmark. It's the Margaret River. I will smart insert again. Done. Now let's see how this trip looks by clicking on plan. So now I've created my trip and I've added all these sites to it, and I used smart insert. How does it look? Well, it starts in Dunsborough and heads down towards Denmark. But it's got this little loop in here around Pemberton and Northcliffe, and it's got another loop in here around Margaret River. So I'm just going to zoom in on that. And this is interesting. This campsite here, which is the Olive Hill Farm, is completely out of order. It should be really just after Miller's Ice Cream Farm before I go into Margaret River. So I'm going to have to rearrange that. And remember, to do that from last videos, you click on this up-down arrow. That takes you into a list of the sites on the trip, and there's 21 on here. And look, Olive Hill Farm is at the bottom. So I click on that, hold it down, and then I'm going to move it back up, and I'm moving it up to just after Miller's Ice Cream Farm. And I click save, hit the back arrow, and there you go. So that's now, interestingly, still on a little loop. I would not know why that's on a little loop there and just doesn't go there, but I'm assuming that's just something to do with the roads. And then we've got this other loop down the bottom, and possibly it'll be one of these three sites. Windy Harbour, Pemberton. This is where it gets a bit frustrating. Beetle up. Going to sort, see if any of them are down the bottom. Beetle up is down the bottom. Walk through trip, beetle up, click on that, drag it up to my other beetle up site. Click save, back arrow, and there we go. We've got rid of that second loop. So that trip's now looking much better. 764 kilometres, staying in 4 different locations. Alright, so that is using collections for trips. Now let's just use a few other things here. So I'll go back into Explore, reset my filters so I can see everything, not just the sites that I've starred. And what I'm going to do here is Jarvis Estate Wines. I'm going to mark that as disliked. Now I apologise if you're from the Jarvis Estate Wines, I will make it liked again, but I just want to show you what happens. If I click on dislike and save, it will disappear. But it may take a few minutes before it does disappear. There you go, it's now gone. Now the only way to get that back is to go into filters, click on include disliked sites, show results, and it's there again. Then I have to go into the site, click on the collection icon, and to turn a collection selection off, you can just select another collection. But if you want to completely turn it off, you have to click the clear button over here on the left and then save. And when I get out there, that appears again. So that's how you use the dislike sites, but be careful with those because they will sometimes turn things off. And now I'm just going to reset my filters. I had the little red dot above the filters. Right, so that's some of the use of the collections. The other one that's going to be very popular with people, because I had a number of complaints about this, was the hearted sites. So I have a few hearted sites. Hearted is an interesting word. There should be one in here. Yep, Thungra Lake. So they're now showing up. So if you have a liked site, so you'll see that the heart's on because it's liked. If you have a liked site, the icon that shows will now be a heart. Now you do need to zoom in a little bit to see them. That will disappear because the site will disappear. And I've got another one up here, Wallerawang, which is also on a lake. Maybe I like staying on lakes. Alright, let's head back to WA And let's now take a look at our trip. So going to our Margaret River trip. And let's assume we've already started on this trip. Let's see what happens to that big green line. So I'm going to take this trip progress bar, and I'll just assume that we've got to our very first overnight destination, which I think was the olive farm. There we go, Olive Hill Farm. So we've progressed that far. So if I drop the trip progress bar here, you'll see that everything prior to that in the route, the map line, has now changed to red. Yet everything we haven't done yet is still green. So you can track your progress along trips. Now if I was to show you a trip that I have completed everything, so this is a tracking trip, I've completed everything, so it's all in red. Okay, let's go back to Explore View. So that's the use of collections and showing them as icons on your map. So useful and really useful for planning a trip. I've also shown you how the visual progress update on your trips is displayed as a red line versus a green line, which is the bit that's left to do. Let's look for a few other things that were bothering me in the past. And I'm going to focus on this map icon on the right. Previously in the release of WikiCamps, when you went into satellite view, you couldn't see town names and you couldn't see roads. So if I go into this now, you'll see that I have both town names and I have roads. And if you scroll down, you'll see that the roads actually have names. So there you go, Roserbrook Road, etc. So you can find your way around using the satellite view. But what's more, now when you go into a map view, whether it's satellite or normal, and you click one of your 10 most recent trip routes, previously this was only 5, so 10's an improvement, save it, and if I scroll out now, you'll see that that shows on the map, and that's in satellite view. If we just click over to normal view, click save, you'll see that I have that as well, so that's great. So that's a big improvement. One of the other improvements they've made is in the filters. So if I just go into filters, there's 2 changes that they seem to have made. One is that they have these information icons in a number of places. They're basically in the top half of the screen. And what they do, if you click on those, they will tell you a little bit about that button. So dislike sites you've added to your dislike collection are hidden from Explore by default, so they won't show on the screen as we showed before. You enable this filter to display them. So remember, if you do mark a site as disliked, it will disappear. You have to include them again before you can see them to turn that filter off. Then we've got these information icons down here on campgrounds, etc. So that's very good. But then the second change they've got here is they've introduced this booking options here. Now this is part, I think, of their revenue generation on the site. So let's click on the information icon. You'll see that you can book some sites directly through WikiCamps using the Book Now button. This filter will help you easily find these bookable sites. Right, and they'll have that Book Now. So we'll find one of those and we'll just click on that in a few minutes. But this booking options was not here before. So if I click on it now, show results. Interestingly, we've got lots of caravan parks and we have a number of experiences which are bookable. So if I go into this one, this bookable experience, we'll see that just over here on the left there's a Book Now button, and there's also a website. In some of the sites you'll actually find a Book Now button and then a URL link to a WikiCamps booking page. Now I'll show you one of those because there is a difference between the two. So I'll go into this caravan park, Hamlin Bay Holiday Park. So you've got the Book Now button, and I've also got book.wikicamps.com.au. The experience with the two is slightly different. If I go into the URL here, the book.wikicamps, it takes me into this booking engine here, and I can book the site. So see what's available, etc., etc. Great. Click on done. I'll go back to WikiCamps. If I go in this Book Now button, it will actually take me into a browser page, and I can't just hit the back button to go back to WikiCamps. I do need to change my screen to the WikiCamps screen. So that's the difference between those two. Alright, so I'll just get out of there. I will reset my filters again. So I'm just back to my standard view. So what we've covered today is the new collections and how they're digitally displayed on your screen. We've looked at tracking in the trip planner with the 2 different colours that we have on the screen here. And we've also looked at 3 critical improvements they've made to the website. One is the quality of the satellite image. One is the overlay of a trip plan or a route in the satellite or the normal map view. And then the third is the booking engine. And I guess the fourth is those information buttons you have in the filter screen. So look, definitely an improvement. So WikiCamps, good job. You're definitely heading in the right direction. It hasn't crashed on me while I've been here, and I haven't had any weird things happen, so maybe those things have been fixed as well. I'm going to review my original video, and I'm going to check on some other defects to make sure they've been fixed. But until that time, that will be in another video. Please like, please subscribe. Subscribe really supports me making these sort of videos, which I hope that you are finding helpful. And until next time, see ya.